This is a demonstration of a Consolidated Time Lock Company time lock attached to a Hall combination lock. The unusual thing about this lock is that it is equipped with what is called the Benjamin Flint patented attachment, and the lock was made in 1883. That attachment is this here, and this attachment is what connected to the bolt work and actually would release the bolt work when the time lock was put off guard and the correct combination was dialed in. Right now we're looking at the combination lock in its locked position, so the bolt is fully thrust outward. The one thing you're going to notice different on this Hall lock from any other is the configuration of the bolt. You'll see that it is a plain rectangular bolt with a chamfer here all the way around. That chamfer is actually used to let this ride up and down. But the thing to notice is that there's no slot here for a clevis pin to go through and thus connect to the bolt work of the safe. That job is done through this Benjamin Flint attachment. One can see how this works by simulating the lock being opened thusly. So when the attachment falls, the bolt work is then released and the door can be opened. That can only happen in the event that the time lock is off guard and the correct combination has been dialed into the time lock. Once again, when the time lock is on guard and the door is closed, this then is raised upward into the locked position. However, there is still only one time lock movement, so we are going to be seeing an example of the Hall's Infallible Lockout system, which was used on all of their locks that were equipped with only one movement, so that you could bypass the time lock in case there was a failure of that movement. And that is shown through this connection here. You'll see this blued piece of steel. It goes behind this lever here, which is part of the Benjamin Flint dogging system, and then comes through here and then connects to this piece here, which is now pretty stiff. I can't move it. And that piece is connected through this circular piece that goes underneath this housing, which houses the wheel pack, which you can see over to your right here, and is connected to a secondary fence here. The primary fence is located here at the 12 o'clock position, and it is up. You can hear it being pushed here. So primary, secondary fence. Secondary fence is what's used by the Hall company to dial in their secret combination to bypass the time lock. Now, it wasn't enough to only dial in the secret combination, which would then allow this fence to drop into the gates once the correct secret combination was dialed, and you can see that here. This fence is now moving very carefully, like so. Because on top of that, you then had to dial in the correct combination to then open the door. Now, right now this time lock is on guard, so this would normally be moved over to the left. So let's say, for example, you have the secret combination and the correct combination, but the time lock hasn't been overridden. You just simply colluded with the company in order to open the safe in the middle of the night. Well, the problem with that is that once you've dialed in the secret combination and you move the tumblers in order to start dialing in the correct combination, look at this here very carefully. Now, you're going to see that once you do that, this is then put on guard, and this will move backward, you see. So once again, you've dialed in the secret combination. You now go for the correct combination, and watch very carefully here. Within a few seconds, this always pops back, and will always do that as long as this mechanism is running, because there's a small lever that's connected to this that rides upon one of these wheels. So if the time lock is running, the wheel is turning, and this will always snap back, which of course then prevents this from being able to be opened. Now, this is a little bit of a phony demonstration here, because we're actually running this backward, and this is actually unlocking. But in real life, this would be up like so. And then you'd be trying to dial in the combination, the right one, and then within a couple of seconds, boom, it comes back again. Secret combination, begin dialing in correct combination, bang, this comes back, and then no longer this will be allowed to move upward to allow this to be opened. That was a key component to the Hall Infallible system to prevent the collusion of someone within the company with the secret combination being able to then open up the safe with someone who is in the company, the safe's employ. And here I wanted to show the wheel pack, which is what the fence actually acts upon. And this wheel pack contains 5 tumblers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all of them right now are set just to one combination, that is the number 60, which is why it's so easy to manipulate the lock. And when these tumblers are all aligned as they are now, the fence can drop in, and therefore the combination lock will allow the boltwork to retract and the safe to be opened. If any one of these is not in alignment, the gate cannot drop, or the fence cannot drop into the gates, because one gate is not aligned, and you then have the safe cannot be opened. I now have removed the wheel pack mounting ring so that one can more easily see these two fences. This is the normal fence, and this is the emergency secret number fence, which is used to disable the time lock. Now, one other thing that this patent had, this Flint patent, and I'm going to disconnect this fence with the secondary secret fence. One thing that this patent also had, in addition to the boltwork release, is this particular piece here, which is this fence. This fence contains a number of studs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one for each tumbler. And you can see on the other side there is a double set of holes. The reason for this is that the secret combination can be deduced if somebody knows the regular combination. In this case, the combination is 60-60-60. The secret combination, the disabling combination for the time lock, is 40-40-40-40. So presumably, if somebody knows how the interior of this lock is done, they could deduce a subtractive equation from the actual combination, the regular one, and deduce from that the secret combination. So what Benjamin Flint had done in this patent is to introduce into this fence a set of 10 holes. And by moving these around, say one here, one here, one here, or 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then one here, or any other permutation of this, you then change the secret combination from being a straight subtraction of the normal combination to now having to have a bit more guesswork. And again, the guesswork is tough to do when at the same time, if this lock is still running and you're trying to just get around it, this part here snaps back. And this part with the snapping back was also an improvement within this same patent, even though this had been invented earlier by Cook and Joe Hall. He improved upon it in this particular patent, which is encompassed in this entire mechanism. So a lot of innovation was produced in this particular patent for Benjamin Flint. I'm now going to demonstrate the time delay feature, which is represented by this pointer here and was an option that could be purchased on the Hall and Consolidated time locks. To demonstrate, right now I've set the time lock at 8 hours. So right now you could close the door and the time lock would in 8 hours go off guard. You could dial in the correct combination and open the door. But let's say that you want to, in the morning or whenever, set the time that you want this time lock to keep the door closed, but you're going to stay in the shop for, say, another 3 hours. Well, then what you do is you move this tail over, which locks it. Now it's in the off guard position because this can now be raised, this bolt. And you then set this lever round to 3 hours, which should be right about there. Now, that way you know that when you leave the shop in 3 hours, this will automatically go on guard. Because to simulate that, this entire mechanism now moves as a unison. So let's say this now goes from 8 hours to 5 hours, because that's 3 hours hence. That will move this lever over another 3 hours. And I'll try to do it with the stick here so that you can see it better with the camera. And when it hits that, it then puts it automatically on guard. You don't have to do anything.